Big ups, soccer peeps. How you doing? It's Rod Groves. Believe in Chelsea FC, and it is Chelsea versus Arsenal week. And the people have spoken. And Tommy, they said they want one opinion. They want Tommy Smith's opinion. Tommy, that's right. Grumpy pundits. Tommy Smith. Tommy, what do you say?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. I appreciate their vote of confidence in me. And we still have that problem. Are Chelsea around the corner yet? Have they
Yeah.
gone round the corner yet? Every time they go around the corner, it seems to go into reverse and come back around the corner in the opposite way. So it's very difficult. I mean, their big hope has to be that they get to the Champions League, and they have a brilliant opportunity to make it.
Yeah, we make everything tough though, and that's of course Tommy Smith. He co-hosts the Grumpy Pundits with Rodney Marsh on Sirius XM FC channel 157. And yeah, somehow we're still in fourth. I don't know how, smoke and mirrors, Tommy, but Chelsea are still in fourth. I believe they have 49 points, and what Arsenal probably has 55 points, 2 versus 4. We'll get to that in a minute, but I'm a little concerned, Tommy. Cold Cole Palmer. Before we were saying Cold Palmer in a great way, but Lord have mercy, Tommy, is he in a cold streak? And it really got bad in this game against when we played Leicester City. He had a penalty, and I was like, all he needs to do is see one go in. That's all he needs to break the cold streak. And he couldn't get that done. Are you concerned about Cole Palmer, Tommy?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a report after that game that he actually didn't
Yeah.
want to play. He was actually ill before the game,
Yeah.
but because he's so much into Chelsea that he wanted to play. And you know yourself, Rob, if you're a little bit sick and you're playing at that kind of a level, I don't think it was a very wise decision. And I was a little bit surprised to think that Marasco would let him play. I mean, if he
Mm-hmm.
knew that he was sick and he wasn't feeling 100%, I
Yeah.
mean, the bench is the place for a guy like that. And maybe at some point he comes off the bench. But you can see a player playing 90 minutes like that.
Yeah. He did get subbed off, but I thought against Leicester City, a 19th place team, they would let someone else start and let my man rest, and like you say, bring him off the bench. But yeah, after learning later, he was suffering and had a little bit of dehydration from his symptoms. That was a bit concerning. But Tommy, another thing in that match, and it's a couple of matches in a row now, is the captain, Reece James, Enzo Maresca, as you mentioned earlier. Before he tried having Reece James invert, in his famous thing, invert and have more people miss matches in the middle. Well, now he's just playing him straight as the defensive midfielder, Tommy. Is the captain Reece James, is he now our defensive mid? Can he survive like that?
Oh, I think he can. I think he can. I mean, I've admired him, you know that, for a long time. I think
I
he's a
know.
brilliant player. And when he was injured, Chelsea were a different team. Or when he was off, I mean, they were a different team. I think he has the capabilities of playing. I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit surprised that it happened. But who am I to question the manager? And I'm not doing that. The
Yeah.
reason I say I'm surprised is because he was a good attacker for Chelsea,
Mhm.
playing where he was playing. He had the freedom of the park in front of him, and he has the speed and he has the skill to do a lot of good things. I mean, now he's a kind of tied down a little bit. Okay, he's not Makaleli, that's for sure, but
Mhm.
he is a pretty good defensive midfielder, and he's growing into the job now. I think Maresca's looked at him now for maybe it's 4 games. Is it that he's been there? He's been 3 games anyhow.
Yeah.
So it's a feeling that, hey, maybe he's going to grow into this, because if you look at some of the games that Chelsea did play, they had problems. It looked like there was a little highway down the middle, and guys were running down it without anybody checking their passport.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing: you won't get past Reece James without your passport being checked. And maybe that's what Chelsea needed to shut that off.
Yeah, indeed. Especially with Lavia in and out of the lineup, hurt a bunch. But Tommy, let's get to it. The people wanted you on to hear about your thoughts on Chelsea versus Arsenal. Of course, the last 10 matches, Arsenal are 6-2-2 versus Chelsea. Uh, Tommy, before I get your pick on the game, these are two teams. Of course, this is Raj Groves Believe in Chelsea FC with Tommy Smith from the Grumpy Pundits. Two teams that are basically playing without a number 9. Who does it better without a striker?
Well, I suppose if you look at it and sum it up the way you just put it, I would say that Chelsea does the best. I have a feeling that if, and we've said it on Grumpy Pundits many, many times, if Arsenal had gone at the beginning of the year and got themselves a striker, I mean, got themselves a decent striker, they could be much closer to Liverpool than they are, because there were games that Liverpool or that Arsenal lost basically because they didn't have a striker, or the games they drew, like the game against Manchester United. I mean, if they had a striker in that game, they would have put it away very easily. And then I was even more surprised. Christmas came, the window opened again. No luck for a striker. I mean, I'm not sure what Arteta was thinking. I'm not sure, who he felt was going to, you show me a player on Arsenal that can score 20 goals in a season. I don't see one on it. And if you're going to win a championship, that's what you got to have. You got to have a striker that can put the ball in the back of the old onion bag. And they don't have that. They don't have that. And I think Chelsea has done much better without one. I mean, they needed one too. I mean, they have a few guys that can be lynched in as strikers, but you need an out-and-out striker in the Premier League nowadays, right? You need an out-and-out striker. You need a man. Look what Mo Salah does for Liverpool. I mean, he's not a striker, but he's a goal scorer. If you don't have a striker, you need a good goal scorer. Okay, it looked like Cole Palmer was going to be the man, but after a while, when you play the Premiership for a while, people start to figure you out. People know which way you're going to turn. I mean, it's so, nowadays, there's so many cameras. There's so much work being done. I mean, tactics and tactics and tactics. They can tell when you're going to pick your nose. So be careful. That's how bad it's gotten.
Yeah. And you and I talked about this on one of our previous conversations about Chelsea in that January transfer window. You were adamant, like, hey, if you're going to win this, you've got to get a striker. Nicholas Jackson is nice, but he's a young guy. He's still young, and putting all your weight on his shoulders, and then he goes out all the weight on Cole Palmer's shoulder, and he gets cold streak. Where are we getting our goals from? Did Chelsea bottle it by not getting a striker in January?
Yeah. It certainly didn't help. And I mean, I always feel like Jackson, he's a good player, will be a good player. But somebody asked me, and how do you describe him? I said, basically, when he gets the ball, he has a fight with it, and then he figures out what he's going to do with it. You know what I mean? He has that. And what am I going to do now? Where am I going to go now? And you can see him always his head is making up his mind. When he gets to the point of where the ball lands at his foot and he knows exactly what he's going to do, he will be a very difficult player to stop.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
But there's hope. But in the meanwhile, it'd be nice if he was coming off the bench first. All right. Arteta versus Enzo Maresca. Let's get to some matchups on the pitch there. Who do you give the edge to? What team has the advantage at the boss?
Yeah, I think Arsenal have. I mean, if you saw them in the Champions League there, they scored 7 goals. I mean, without a striker, and we're after, basically ripping them for not having a striker, but you put up 7 goals, and they have a lot of good players. Declan Rice has made a huge change to Arsenal. Unfortunately, they didn't reinforce Rice with somebody else, and he's basically trying to do it all. You saw him against Manchester United. I mean, he was trying to be a midfielder, he was trying to be a striker, he was trying to be Mr. Everything. And okay, he did score the goal and played very well. But you'd have to say that the way Arsenal moved the ball around, Chelsea's going to have to be very careful. You can't give them any spaces. I mean, Chelsea against, as you said, a team that's basically very close to getting relegated, and Chelsea had a big problem to beat them. I mean, what did beat them? 1-0. I mean, that's not a good result. That's not a good result against a team like that. So depending on how Arsenal go out and, what way they play, to figure out the matchups, very difficult. I mean, these two guys make it very difficult for you to figure out who's going to play where. And, they both have a lot of good players at their disposal, and sometimes it does come down to that little space of who makes the right decisions, or even who makes the right substitutes. It's become such a big thing now in football, soccer, call it what you want, to be able to get the right man coming off the bench and to do the right things. So much of it depends on how the managers feel. And I suppose you have to be at training during the week. You have to see how these players have gone, and then you kind of say, okay, this is the way they're going to play.
Yeah. And Tommy, of course, talking to Tommy Smith from the Grumpy Pundits. Hear him on Sirius XM with Rodney Marsh on channel 157. Tommy, all right, you mentioned a man, Declan Rice. Let's go to the middle then. Who has the edge in the middle, defensive mid, wherever you want to play? I know you said Rice plays all over the place. You're 100% right. Caicedo or Declan Rice? Where you going?
Oh, I have to go with Declan Rice. Much as I don't like that, I have to go with him. And he was a guy that
Is it
was
the
supposed to.
versatility you just mentioned because he can play all over the place?
Yeah. Plus, it was us that trained him. I mean, he was supposed to be playing with Ireland, and he played with Ireland underage for several years, and then he declared for England. So we taught him
Oh,
all he knows. That's why he's so good. Just write that down, folks. Write that down. It's it'll
Irishman.
be it'll be near St. Patrick's Day, so you
No,
can't hold me liable for it.
fair enough. I'll give you that since St. Patty's Day is on Monday. Indeed. Now, Tommy, word on the street is you're a bit of a betting man. You can be a betting man. You like to put a coin or two on the game.
Yeah.
Now, Arsenal is minus 125 in this. Chelsea, let me get the latest on this. Chelsea is plus, oh my, plus 360 on this one. So what no, what side are you edging on here, Tommy?
I wouldn't bet Arsenal at the price they are. I mean, I
Mhm.
wouldn't bet them with your money. I know you have lots of it, but I might throw a few bucks of my own on Chelsea. I mean, they're presenting real good value. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing about the bookmakers is, right, you're dealing with guys that maybe they know it, maybe they don't. I mean, I don't bet the way you bet. I bet in fractions. You know, 2 to 1, 3 to 1, whatever it is. They
Okay.
bet with English
Oh,
bookmakers. And
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you can tell in England when a game is going to go. Like I'd always said to Rodney to say, "Oh, look at the price of that team there," and I always say, keep in mind, English people bet with their hearts, and the bookies are not there to lose money. So they're very
Mm,
willing to take the money from you, and they
yeah,
will set you up for a price that you can to kind of, if you're a fan of a team, you
yeah.
bet them all the time. And
Yep.
certainly when an English team is playing any team from anywhere else, you're always going to have a shorter price on the English team because the English money will rule the market. So,
Gotcha.
I would be betting Chelsea. I mean, you'd be hoping it's a huge amount of money. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I can't understand how somebody in a betting office could say to themselves, okay, there's not that much between the two teams. If you don't believe me, look at the standings. The
Yeah.
standings don't lie. The
Yeah.
standings don't lie. Okay, teams have good spells, have bad spells. They look
Mhm.
well today, they don't look well tomorrow, whatever. That's kind of basically what happened with Chelsea.
With
But
with
I mean, you have the opportunity of, if I want to look at Arsenal and I say, okay, 3 years, they've had an opportunity. The opportunity was there. The path was there for them to win a championship. City took care of them. Now Liverpool. I mean, Arsenal need binoculars now to see how close Liverpool are.
fair enough. True that. All right, now all betting aside, last question for you, Tommy Smith. Just a game prediction. What do you think the score would be? Just a game. No betting involved, no numbers. Just what are we going to see on the pitch? How do you see it play out?
Yeah, that's always to me the most difficult thing that you can figure out. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, especially so much depends on who gets the first goal and how it's scored.
Mm.
But I could see this thing being, I could see it ending up 2-1 to Chelsea, or maybe 3-2 to Chelsea. I think there'll be
Oh.
goals in it. Both teams are
Mm.
capable of scoring goals, even though they don't have a striker. Did we just talk about that? Oh yeah, we did. And now I'm making a contradiction of myself. But I think there will be goals in this. And I think it'll be an entertaining game. They always are. I mean, there's always something special when Chelsea play Arsenal because of, hey, the location, everything about it, and it's a derby, and
Yeah,
and you never know how these derbies are going to go. But I can see Chelsea whipping them.
that's right. And you say it's a derby, they're both in it. But remember, Tommy, there's only one team in London with the European Cup. There's only one team in
That's it.
London with the European Cup. And of course, that's
Yeah,
Chelsea. But that's
yeah,
history. This is not history. This is just coming up this weekend. This match is going to be tough. Tommy, listen, if you guys want to hear more of Tommy Smith, get your Sirius XM channel 157's SiriusXM FC. He does Grumpy Pundits with Rodney March, and you guys
Tuesday,
keep it straight and you give each other a hard time. I love it, boy. You guys taking jabs at each other all the time.
Tuesday from 10 o'clock to 1, Thursday from 10 o'clock to 1. So tomorrow we'll be on from 10 to 1.
All right, that's right. But they replay it too, Tommy, because when I'm in the car Pacific time around 1:12 and 1, they replay the show.
Yeah.
So I'm not up that early in the car. So for those listening a little bit later, you can still catch the Grumpy Pundits with Rodney Marsh and Tommy Smith because they replayed it so damn good you can't hear it just once. You know what I mean?
Thank you very much. And yeah, it's on the app. It's on the app. You can tune it in anytime on the app. Just put in Grumpy Pundits.
Yeah. I do the app, actually. The app is actually easier to do. I can listen to it anytime at the gym and everything. So big ups, Tommy Smith, Grumpy Pundits, Rod Groves, believe in Chelsea FC. You heard the prediction. Tommy says perhaps Chelsea can squeak out a win. We'll take it here. Believe in Chelsea FC. Let's get it, Blues.